hi guys, welcome to chapter 4. So we are in chapter 4, lesson 4. We've been working really hard through this, and today we're going to talk about some leaders from Mesopotamia. So this is what we imagine it would look like if we went on a field trip to Mesopotamia. You can see us all doing something different here on the picture, and so you should start to understand why we're saying these things where we are. And after today, you should understand this cartoon just a little bit more. So let's just jump right in and get started. As soon as we get to the next slide. Here we go. Okay, so actually, who was Sargon? And he's going to be one of the guys that we talk about first in terms of leaders. So Sargon is from a little tiny region called Akkad, which is, if you'll look at it right over here, you'll see in between the land between the two rivers. Tigris is on top, Euphrates on bottom. There's Akkad. It's also, he's going to be leader of the Akkadian Empire. So one of the things that Sargon did that he's most remembered for is he is the first person that uses warfare in a way that unites a kingdom. Now that does sound contradictory to use warfare to unite, but what we mean by that is he took all of the little city-states, remember the city-states that Mr. Miller talked about? All those little individual city-states, and his warriors conquered them and brought them all together under one ruler, which was very different from anything that had happened before. So he brings the city-states together with just one ruler instead of a bunch of small city-states. And they begin to work together to build an empire. So when Sargon has all of these people that he's conquered, he has a lot of manpower to do a lot of things. So some of the things he does that we remember him for being a good leader is he develops one of the first postal systems. He develops roads between every single little city-state. And the building of the roads and linking them together and carrying messages back and forth really allows him to be in control of what's going on. And of course, he places people who are under him and people he trusts to rule the city-states. So he's got that loyalty going on. But then he does one more thing that puts everybody underneath him. And this is one of the first times that we see tribute being introduced. So tribute is not just like that story where we offer up somebody for tribute. What is that?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, thank you. That's the one. We're not just offering tribute in that sense like that. You're actually paying him now taxes in the form of tribute to be in his kingdom. And so Sargon is able to lead peace that way. He actually has a kingdom that lasts for quite a while under this peaceful reign, and they go a long time without any famine. Prosperity just rules everywhere because there's plenty of food, there's no famine, and he's a strong leader with strong people under him to keep everything safe and together. And people wanted to be in a place where they could be safe, and that's what he provided. Now, we're going to spend a whole day talking about Sargon and all the other things he did, and you're going to get to make decisions about whether or not you think he's a good leader or not. So right now, I want you to think about the leaders that you know. Think of the characteristics that they have. Are they kind? Are they loyal? Is a good leader, is he dishonest or is he not dishonest? Think about somebody that leads something that you think is a good leader. It could be your baseball team, it could be your scouting troop, it could be a civic organization, it could be at your church, it could be at wherever you go and worship, it could be at any of those places. It could even be a teacher that you think is a good leader. It could be anybody that you think is leading something and leading it well. So consider those characteristics when we talk about leaders. All right, so turn it over to, got one more. He's originally from Akkad. We said that. So originally from Akkad, which is in Mesopotamia. Oh, look at there. Forgot that one too. Didn't know it was going to pop up. My empire lasted for more than 200 years before invaders conquer it. So even he didn't live 200 years. But his empire lasted with his structure and his rules for 200 years.
All right, guys, this will be the point you want to stop and answer your hot question because it deals with Sargon. It says, do you believe Sargon deserved the title of the Great? Sargon the Great. Why or why not? Remember your hot question guidelines, minimum of 3 sentences. You spell all the content words quickly. Things like Sargon should not be misspelled because it's in front of you in your notes. And make sure you're using proper punctuation, capitalization, all those good writing skills. All right? So you can unpause when you're done with your hot question.
All right, Mr. Miller here. I'm going to take over and pick up on a man named Hammurabi. So we had Sargon, leader of the empire, lasted about 200 years. The next really big influential leader that's going to find their way into the region of Mesopotamia is going to be a guy named Hammurabi. Really the two main leaders we're going to focus on in this whole chapter. Hammurabi is going to come several hundred years later after Sargon. So Sargon first, Hammurabi second. You can see it says circa, which means around. We maybe don't know exactly, but around 1792 BC. He was a Babylonian king. Remember, there was an actual city-state named Babylon, and this whole area you can see in the map there, it's essentially the entire Fertile Crescent is going to be under Hammurabi's control. This will be known as the Babylonian Empire. Obviously, that name coming from the city-state of Babylon. And he's going to begin conquering all of those other Mesopotamian cities, and he's going to now have an empire that he will control. So Sargon had one, and now we see one with Hammurabi, known as the Babylonian Empire. You can see it stretched all the way from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. As I said earlier, that's the entire Fertile Crescent. And the reason this man is really, really famous, and why we're talking about him even still today, is because of his code of law. He was thought to be just and fair ruler. He was best known for creating a set or code of laws for the empire that everybody would follow. And everybody had to follow it or there could be serious consequences. So I'm going to let Ms. Tickle explain more about Hammurabi's code.
Hi, guys. Okay, so Hammurabi is known for creating those first set of laws. These are the first set of recorded laws that we have. So in this picture, you can see Shamash, the Sumerian god of justice. In this picture, which is the stele of Hammurabi's code, you can see that Shamash is handing those laws over to Hammurabi. So Hammurabi's code was displayed for all to read in public places. If this is the first set of laws, this is the first time we are seeing them being displayed in public so that everyone is aware of what the laws are. It dealt with almost every aspect of daily life. This is where we're going to start to see laws forming about marriage and property, wages, work, laws that just deal with every aspect that you can think of life back then. It was more fair than the old Sumerian laws, and punishment for crime should match the severity of the crime. This is where we get the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. So for instance, his laws would kind of line up with if you're stealing, your hand would be cut off. A lot of our laws that we have in modern day are actually still based on Hammurabi's code. Not that if you stole now, you'd have your hand cut off. But when you research it further and go back into it, you will see that some of our current day laws still have the basis of Hammurabi's code. So that's it for us. Make sure that hot question is filled in. 3 to 5 sentences, no pronouns, restate the prompt, and include the vocab. I can't say it enough. Use your vocab. Okay? Bye, guys.